Welcome to This Week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, and my colleague, Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about termination and terminating employees. So it's something I get calls from clients often, which is, well, how do I proceed with the termination? What should I say? How much do I tell them about why I'm terminating them? If I have a severance agreement, should I have it ready? Do I give them everything? Like lots of questions around just kind of the logistics, and they're really relevant because depending on what happens after that termination, if there's going to be any issues, then Exhibit A can be the termination notice in a potential lawsuit. So, what are some things that employers should be keeping in mind when they're terminating employees, Russell?
Yeah, well, the first point is when you sit down to meet with an employee to terminate them, the decision's already been made. So it's not a conversation, it's not a back and forth, it's not a discussion about whether the employee can keep their job or not. You've already done that assessment, you've already reached your conclusion. So you're informing the employee of that decision. You're not inviting a discourse on whether it should happen or not. And with that in mind, I think it's important to be empathetic, but also direct and to the point, kind of like pulling the Band-Aid off. So, I think it can be done in basically a paragraph or so of, uh, thanks for meeting with me today. I'm here to tell you that your employment with the company is going to be terminated. It's being terminated because, and I like to answer that question because otherwise I think it leaves too many open questions. But I like to answer it succinctly. So like in a sentence or two, the short version of it. You don't need to, run someone over the coals on this. But I do think it, makes sense to give a short, direct, honest answer. And then, if there's any questions or there's any further discussion, it can be around the administrative process of offboarding. So I need the key cards back. I need passwords. You'll be paid through such and such a date. You'll hear from our benefits provider about Cobra notice. Things like that.
Yeah, I think it's really important, kind of in that vein of trying to keep it succinct and keep it formal. And like you said, the decision's been made. Part of that is to have everything ready that you're going to give them. So, is it if you're going to have a written termination notice, or a severance agreement, or if you're doing it virtually and you need to send them a box to get send their stuff back, have all of that ready and really just be keep things as tight as possible. And then, of course, there's times where sometimes it might be you're sharing a little bit more information, just if it's sometimes they might be expecting the termination. It's as a result of something that has already been previously discussed. So you might be sharing that that's now come to its conclusion. You've done an investigation or whatever it may be, but not spending, to your point, Russell, not spending too much time and not feeling like you have to talk a lot when you're doing that termination. And then have a plan. So if you're using a severance agreement, for instance, they might have questions about that. They might have questions about the agreement itself. They might have questions, well, should I get an attorney about this and be prepared, to review this, or before I sign this, should I talk to an attorney about this? And be prepared to answer those questions and let them know about their right to talk to an attorney, and answer any logistical questions that they might have regarding that agreement and when they need to sign it, and just to have a really concrete plan about how you're going to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, right, and it kind of dovetails into what I was talking about as well. I mean, it's just like any management conversation with an employee. Um, you're the manager. You want to make sure you're it's your conversation. It's following the path that you want it to follow. You're conveying what you need to convey. You're providing additional information where it's appropriate, but it's your conversation. And like I said, it's just another management conversation. This one happens to be about offboarding as opposed to something they're going to have an opportunity to correct, improve, work on. But it's still going to be done, by the management person with the management person in control, but also while being empathetic and understanding, this is a lousy conversation for this particular individual because no one, no matter the circumstances, likes to hear, you're being terminated. So you want to do it with some awareness of that, and you want to have the conversation away from the general working public, and you want to have some breathing room for that. You want to give the employee some space to react, but and not be embarrassed in front of other people. But again, it's still your decision that's already been made that you're conveying.
Yeah, and just kind of in closing here too, is that, when you're telling someone any information about why they may have been terminated, or, the reasoning behind the decision or anything like that, really keep in mind again that it might be used in the future. So if it's not accurate, so if you say I'm eliminating a position, but you're not actually eliminating a position, like that can be really problematic, because what you've said in this meeting, what you've put in this letter, if anyone does decide to want to take legal action surrounding the termination, will be things that will come up. So just really keep in mind, just like anything else that you put in writing or any of these other conversations, they all can be used in the future. So that's just another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, not a big fan of the termination letter. I prefer the termination conversation with good notes so that if there's an issue in the future, you've got it documented. And again, probably also a reason why it's good to have the direct manager and an HR rep in those meetings as well. So you've got two people's version that in theory should match up.
Yeah, exactly. Always a good idea. Well, thanks, Russell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.